Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Ronald, I'm from 360 Creators, and in this video I'm going to talk about SEO and virtual tours. A lot of virtual tours are really poorly indexed by search engines. I barely find them in search results, and that's something that we can do something about. So let me show you what we're going to be building. We're going to be building a lot of pages based on panoramas within 3D Vista. And all of these panorama pages are going to be showing up in search results. So you can see we got a ton of them right now, and they're all dynamically created. So it doesn't matter if we have 10, 100 or 1000, it's the same process. When we click on one of the pages, such as Sandkoele, then we go there and it loads in the virtual tour straight away from the point where the Sandkoele is. So we go back, then we click on Martins Kwartier, and we'll see Martins Kwartier. So you can pan all around and check it out. Let's do one more. Go to Grundschule AD Kastanin. Yeah, that's my German. I'm actually Dutch. Dutch and German are pretty close to each other. And we arrive here, and then we see the pop-up showing up. This is Skin CMS. What I would like to clarify is what we actually are going to be using. And we're going to use a front end and a back end. And for both, I'm going in this video for open source tools that can be self-hosted on your server, costing you nothing extra when you figure out everything how to self-host it, except for the server itself. I'll be using the cloud versions of those open source tools. I think they're worth it. And those two tools are Webstudio for the front end and Baserow for the back end. Webstudio is the open source alternative to Webflow, and Baserow is the open source alternative to Airtable, which you might have heard me about before. So let's start building a page that is just first going to be the home page, where you just get to the beginning of the virtual tour like you would usually embed a virtual tour. And once we create the home page, we're going to duplicate that home page and turn that into a dynamic page for all these specific panoramas. And I'm going to show you how you can create all the formulas so that all these panorama names will be turned into deeplinks, into slugs, and maybe something more. If we need to generate a dynamic title where we add in the location name, stuff like that. I'm going to try keeping this as simple as possible, but there are just so many cool possibilities with this. So I also don't want to not tell you that. So bear with me here. And yeah. So let's dive into this. So I'm going to close this out. Webstudio, Baserow. We're going to create a new project, SEO tutorial, hit enter, and a new project is being created in Webstudio. And here we are. So a little bit about Webstudio, about how it looks. We have the navigator, where we have the whole, basically the skin compared to 3D Vista. And we can add components such as a box, call this virtual tour. Then in this box we're going to create a HTML embed, an iFrame or web frame, as people might be familiar with. We're iFrame. And in this iFrame I'm going to use an iFrame code, and in here I'll be using the tool. I've hosted the virtual tour over here, so I'll just put that link inside the iFrame. Fix automatically. Great. And it's loading in. Great. Done. No? Okay, fine. Let's go to virtual tour and change some things over here. I'll be changing this to flex. The width is 100 VW, is viewport width. and the height is 100 viewport height. It's basically like a percentage, slightly different. Okay. Then I'll be setting the position here to absolute, in case you might later on want to add a H1 title on top of it, create skin elements in Webstudio. You can do that. I'll put the setting next to 1. Great. Now I'll be turning this local style into a token so we can reuse this later on. Little toolbox. Done. That's it. Okay, now we got our homepage. We got the embed. Great. Now let's get into the homepage over here. And we can see over here there's a title, a description, and we can turn this off so that it can be included from the search results. And what I'll be doing is I'll just be putting in some stuff. Like so. Because it's a German site, I'll be putting in DE as the language code. And I'll be adding in image over here. Alright, so now when we have this, we publish this. And here we go. So we got our homepage ready. Alright, so that's great. Now we got this, we're just going to duplicate this page 100 times. So we're just going to copy, paste, and no, kidding. Kidding. I'm not going to duplicate this. You crazy. I'll just delete them again. Okay. I'll just have one duplicate. Alright. So we go over here, and in order to turn this page now into a dynamic page, what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'll call this right now Panorama for ourselves. This is an internal name. So instead of /copy1, we're going to do slash and then a colon, and we'll type in SLUG, slug. And by using the colon, it will be turned into a dynamic page. You'll see that over here the little icon has changed. That's great. Now, let's close the page settings. Now, what we need is we need to connect it to Baserow. But before we're going to connect it to Baserow, we need to see what we actually have got in Baserow and how you can get your panoramas from 3D Vista in there and then connect it to here. So, we'll do a step back here. And over here, you can see what we have. But what I'll be doing is I'll be just creating a whole new base. I'll call this fresh start. And as we have this, in the first field, I'm going to call this Panorama name. Alright, so what we need to do right now is get to Panorama name. So take this one, say copy, paste, and we'll do this with all the others as well. And I know it's quite boring to do this, but I think it'll be worth it. And so on. Right now I'm just going to copy paste everything that I already have. And as we're having all these panorama names, that is the first step. Check. Now, what we need is the deep link to each panorama. So, in order to do that, we will do a formula to concatenate the link where it's hosted and then the hashtag. In my case, this is the link where it's hosted. So, /staging, /backham, /index.html. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll do a concatenate, concat, click on it, comma, paste, comma, now I cannot finish this, I believe. Now I'll do a comma, this one, and we'll say panorama name, and say okay, create. call this Deeplink. And if you look closely, we'll see a few problems. First of all, we need to add hashtag media-name is, and then the whereto or whatever that is. And the second one is that there are certain type of characters that are not being recognized, such as a spacebar turns into %20. So for that we need to URL encode the panorama name, which we'll do in a step. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll correct this and say after .html I'll say hashtag media-name is, and then and now we have hashtag media name is, and then all these things. So now the next step is to do this URL encoding. So when we see spacebar, that turns into %20. This O, the German S, Straße, this one, that's all special characters. So we'll need to say added field, and we'll go with the cursor in front of field after the comma. We'll say encode URI, like this. And the only thing now is that we need to also close this at the end. So just add one more of that. And we can save this. And now you see that all of these panorama names have been URL encoded. So when we go to this one, paste it, then you'll see that we go to diepenbrede, and that's it. So yeah, this is something to double check everything, that is all correctly, of course. So we got the panorama name, we got the deep link. Optionally, we can do the social sharing image, so that when you share a page like a butler's house, that it will show a relevant image as well. This is optional, you don't have to do this, but if you do, you go to File for a new field, call this Social Sharing Image, and you just copy paste images or screenshots of each panorama. So we go to Cement Museum, you can say, okay, great, take a screenshot and just paste it inside here. And do this for all the other records as well. Now, I already have all of those prepared, so I'll just bulk copy paste them inside here. The other thing that we need is the slug. And the slug is going to present where we're going to be hosting Webstudio. So right now, we have the URL that is seo-tutorial.bstd.io. But we can put this on a custom domain like 360beckham.com, and then we want to have 360beckham.com / and then Christuskirche, Busjehuizen, whatever, right? Let's create that. We call this Slug. You could do single line text and just type them all out, or we're going to be using a formula to just automatically generate the slug. Basically, we'll do also encode URI, and then the panorama name again. Now, let's see, I need to select it over here, click out, hit save, and now we have all these slugs. Now, in case that you think, okay, most of the slugs are nice, but sometimes I just want to make it a nicer looking slug, we can create an input field for the slug and create a little if formula to correct certain slugs. So I'll just say slug input, but this is just like optional and you don't have to follow along. You can just fast forward now if you like. Slug input. So for example, here I would say Straße, like this. I think that's a nicer looking slug. And over here, what I can do is I can copy this formula, I'll just remove it. If is blank slug input, then do this, what we just deleted, the automatic generated slug. Otherwise, take the slug field, the slug input. Hit save. And now you can see it has all these automatic generated ones, but in case we want to change one, like this one, I can now say Hundeauslauflache. It's like this. And so I can customize the slug. Now what we need to do is we need to connect Baserow with Webstudio. So the way we're going to be doing that is on the top left, click My Settings. Click Database Tokens, Create Token. Search the workspace and Create Token. I'll be turning off these and only have read-only, like this. In this case, it doesn't need to do anything here. It only needs to do this with the 360 backend tutorial. And what I'll be doing now is I'll be just copying this token and I'm going back to Webstudio. Back in Webstudio, what we're going to be doing is I've removed this page that we just created. And what we'll be doing is in the marketplace, click on integrations, Baserow, and then we click directory item. Yes. And Baserow data, you can just inspect this and there's something going on here. So this template is still working, but we don't want this to be connected to a template from Webstudio themselves. We want this to be connected to our own template. Copy this token. In here, we'll say Baserow token, paste, Baserow table ID. We go back over here. We'll say this one, copy. We'll leave this as it is, and search field. This is the slug actually. So, and we copy this number over here. Now, when we click on Baserow data JSON over here, inspect, we see, okay, it's true, it's good, great. Now, in order to see that we can get the data from a specific field, we'll take a slug example like this one, Perturm. We go to Webstudio, and over here we can say paste. And now you see that we get different data. That's great. Now we got this set up. Let's do something about the design here. I'll just remove everything that's in here. In the body, I'll just say clear styles. So we've got everything back to a fresh new page, except for on the body, we still have these data variables, which is the difference. Now we'll go back to home, take this virtual tour, copy, back to the directory item, paste. Let's check very quickly some page settings over here of this directory item. So over here, directory item, click here, call this panoramas. Then you could call this panoramas, panoramas and then /slug. You can also just remove that and do right away this with :slug. And what you can see right now is we start to see all these little blue things, and that means that we can do dynamic things to it. That's really the cool part of this. But before we're going to get into the search results here, I would like to show you that we're going to do the dynamic web frame. So we already have the Weerturm over here. Now we go into the virtual tour, the iFrame, And this is just like the home page, which is static, but this one is dynamic. And now we have this little purple icon here. And this is where the fun begins. First of all, I'll be replacing these with a backtick. That is the key next to the number 1 on your keyboard. Now it creates 2 things, and I only need 1. So I copy this backtick, paste. So now we have these backticks. SRC is, and now we have all of this. I'll just remove this until I have these double quotes. And right now I'm going to do a $sign, this curly bracket 2 times. And in between here, I can now say Baserow data dot results dot 0 dot. And you just need to drill through this whole thing. Follow me along. And now we start to see all these fields. And what we need is the deep link. Now, I don't see the deep link appearing here. Oh yeah, over here, this one. You can see s3.360degrees.com. So this is the field. In case you're doubting, you can just go back to here, click on deep link and see that this ends with 582. And so here we can also do the same. And we do this again, we see 582. So that's the same field ID, that's great. And we see this thing, click OK. Now we just click out of it. And now we see weird. This is exactly the same as this, but now dynamically in iFrame. And that's the beauty of it. So we got this. This is pretty awesome. If you would want to, we could start adding in H1 titles and stuff like that. Let's just do that quickly. Heading. Add a heading. And it's not so pretty, I know. I'll just very quickly make this absolute and put it like just somewhere here. I know this is not the way you're supposed to design this, but so it's not on the menu. And when we have this heading, now we can put up a text here and say settings, little thing over here. This one is much easier to change. So now Baserow data results dot 0 dot, and then the first one Virtu. And now we have a dynamic iframe and a dynamic H1 heading, which is pretty cool. So this is kind of like the idea behind binding all this data from your backend and creating all these pages. Now, if you want to see a different page in here, we can go over here, Christus Kitchen. Then we go over here. There we go. So now we see the church and we see the title being changed as well. In this case, it doesn't make sense to put in a H1 heading over here or anything else. So I'll just delete that now again. All right. So now we got the dynamic pages set up. What we need to do now is the SEO part. So we go back to pages, panoramas, click on the 3 dots. And now we can start to create a title. And what we do here is Baserow data results dot 0 dot, and now Christus Kitchen. Okay. So now we have this. But maybe we want to combine the panorama name with some fixed text, like welcome to this virtual tour in the Christus Kitchen, for example. In this case, we need to concatenate again, something we've done before in Baserow. Now we can also do that directly inside Webstudio. It works slightly different, but you'll get the hang of it as I'll be showing this to you. So we go over here, make it a little bigger. Now we say this. And then in here we say amazing virtual tour. And now what we need to do over here is we need to do a plus sign like this. And when we click out of it, you'll see this is what we got now. So this is how you can concatenate the static text with a dynamic text. And so in here you can put in the keywords that are important to rank on. In case you want to include the location, for example, you want to say Christuskirche within Beckham, but maybe within this virtual tour of Beckham, there's also other villages around that we want to score within the search engines. Then we can dynamically get the location from a different field type in Baserow over here. We can say, okay, cool, let's do a single select, call this location, hit enter, then we can say Beckham, and then the other one is Amsterdam, and another one is Berlin. Okay, and we could say, okay, over here, do all of this stuff, and then do another time plus with these quotes, and then in location, like that. And then we would do another plus and then say, and then Baserow data results at 0, and then the field with this new field ID. This is how you can play with it. Yeah, I'm just giving you kind of the overall image of how this could look like. So I'll be deleting this for now. Keep this very simple. And the same we can do now with the meta description. So again, we can say you could just say, okay, I want a fixed one, and just like this, and have the same meta description of all the pages. But I would recommend to always have some dynamic stuff in there, because what I've read about search engines is they like dynamic meta descriptions. So we can go over here, Baserow data dot results dot 0 dot, and then name is available in der virtuele But as I've been showing you, when we have static text, we need to do this within the quotes, so it turns blue, and we need to put in this plus sign in between. And now we have this Christuskirche available in whatever you make out of that. Yeah, this is for you to do. We'll set the language to DE because it's German. And now we want the social sharing image. We can go to here, little purple thing. Same principles again, Baserow data dot results dot 0 dot. And now we look over here, social sharing image is 591 dot, and then 591, that's this one. But in this case we need to drill a little bit more. I mean, we can try doing this, but we'll see. Expected string, received array, okay, it's wrong. You can, with images, you can do another dot. And this 0 represents the first image within the attachment field. If you want to have the second image of the attachment field, you need to put in a 1 or a 3 or a 4. That's kind of like JavaScript language. In any case, dot 0, dot, and then over here we can do image width, height, blah, blah, blah. But what we need is the URL. So we say, okay, URL. And we hit click away out of it, and we'll see this image is now appearing. And that is nice, because now when we publish this and we go to our website.com/Christuskirche, and we copy that link and put that in WhatsApp or Signal or in Facebook or in LinkedIn or wherever, it will take this specific image and you can say, hey, watch this Christuskirche in the 360 Beckham tour. And it shows you like a nice clean URL without all this deep linking stuff. It shows you a nice image of this place. And yeah, I think that's going to increase the value of how your virtual tour is being perceived a lot already in that part. So yeah, we got all of these things now set up. Just to show you that it works for other pages as well. We can take another example, go to this one, the Karl-Heinz Boene Plaats, and then we go here, hit this one, hit enter, and we'll see amazing virtual tour Karl-Heinz Boene Plaats with the meta description, a different social sharing image, loading in the panorama. Amazing! And you'll be thinking, cool, Ronald, we're there, we can publish this, put this on the custom domain. Almost. Stay with me. Because we've got all of this stuff now set up. The only thing that's left over to do is to let search engines know that we're creating all these 100 pages and where to find them. And that is being done through a sitemap. And we're going to be creating a dynamic sitemap. So how we're going to do that is we go to Marketplace, pages, and then a CMS sitemap. Click here and we'll create a new page when we click here. As you can see over here, we have the home panorama sitemap. Okay. And right now the search engine is only knowing, okay, you've got your website. But let's change something about this. We need to put in here our website, and then why is this not working? Okay, so they're static and they're dynamic. Static is created by Webstudio. If you create extra pages, it will appear here, so we don't need to do anything about that. And with dynamic, we need to add the resource. Let's go to the marketplace. Then we go to integrations, Baserow, and instead of directory item, this time we need to directory, because the resource is slightly different for that. And on the page wrapper over here, we can see Baserow data. Click on it, copy, go back to the sitemap, then data variables on the resource URL, paste. We need to change the tokens again. So going here, settings, database tokens, copy, paste, Baserow sitemap. And now we need to change the table ID over here. Copy, paste. Maybe we can just remove all of this. Let's hope so. Let's inspect, and we can see there's a lot of results appearing, so that's great. This works. Now here on dynamic, click here, dynamic item, and here we change the data. Okay, in data we remove all of this. We say Baserow sitemap.json .data.results. Now you could get more into this, but we're not going to. We're going to keep it like here. It will show up a lot of things. And now what we need, it will create like 100 items, but we still need to say what is the URL. So we go to log, one of them, then text content, and here we need to change some path, dynamic item.slug. I'll just remove this and dot again, and it will show me the list. And just to be sure, slug is 597. Over here. This is the slug. Hit away, and now we have all of this appearing. And so when we publish this on a custom domain, it will change this SEO tutorial.vstd.work accordingly as well. The only thing we might want to still do here is remove some path, because we don't have this in a folder called some path. We just have it right away from the root. So I'll just remove this. If we would have slash panoramas, for example, then we need to rename it to panoramas. And then slash where to. So we got the dynamic sitemap set up. Now, one more thing we need to do is to say, when did you change the content of this item? So let's go back over here. And one of the things we forgot to add is a last modified field. So we're going to be doing that right now. Add over here, new field, last modified. Keep this however you want it. It's okay. Hit create. And just if you're curious, you can say include time. And we can see that we changed, for example, this one a little bit later than all the others. Everything was imported 1447. And 4 minutes later, I changed this with the custom Slug input. Now, if I would change another one, for example, this one, now you'll see that the time has changed. And you can see how much time it takes for me to record this tutorial. So we got this field now added to the Baserow. We go back to Webstudio. Now, Webstudio doesn't know yet about the new field, so we need to refresh everything. The way to do that is we go back to the resource and the body. Click here, click refresh. And now Webstudio knows, hey, you created a new field, last modified time. Cool. So we go over here, last mod, text content, dynamic item, just remove this, dot, and then the last modified time. And I can recognize it's this one. So it's okay. And all of this, we can just leave that as is. This is just for search engines and they understand the structure. And now we have the dynamic sitemap created. And when we publish this, the search engine will know, hey, you've got the sitemap, you've got all these 100 pages, great. They have all these page titles, they have all these meta descriptions. And this is how the search engine knows, okay, let's present this in our results. If you'd be creating an extra item, it'd be showing up below the list as well. That's it. Now you can publish. Click on add a new domain, amazingdomain.com. And then you need to add these records to amazingdomain.com. Now, a few things that are useful to know about Webstudio and Baserow is the pricing. So Webstudio pricing over here has the cloud version and the self-host. Self-hosting is still quite complicated or challenging, at least for me. So I've been going for the cloud version. And you can either go for the subscription, $20 monthly, or for the lifetime deal at this point. And when you start paying, you get the option to dynamically create these pages, which we did in this tutorial. So you'll need the subscription, or you need to self-host it. If you decide to purchase or subscribe to Webstudio, please use my referral link in the description below. That will help me to create more of this type of content. Yes, so that's about Webstudio. And compared to other platforms, just so you know, yeah, you might be thinking, oh, another subscription. Yeah, if you want to do this in Webflow, then you're paying $25, $30 monthly, and that's per project. That means that if you have 5 clients, 5 by 25, that's already $125 monthly that you need to pay for that. With Webstudio, it's a single subscription for unlimited custom domains, at least at this time being, in their cloud pricing. And you always have the option to self-host. So if there's something that you're not going to be happy with or whatever, you always have the option to just get into the source code, put this onto your own server, and have it running on your own resources, which is pretty awesome. Now, Baserow, we've got the pricing over here. You can use the cloud version, you can use the self-hosted version. You can get very far with the free version of Baserow. At this point, Baserow is having an API limitation of 10 API calls that are at the same time. That, as far as I understand that means that if there's like 10 people visiting the site at the same time, it might start to say, okay, well, that's a lot. But a lot of people won't have that type of limitation, and there's no monthly maximum API limitation, which is the case with Airtable, and that's also the reason I'm building this tutorial based on Baserow. With Airtable, you have 1,000 API calls maximum monthly with the free plan, and that's not the case with Baserow. So this is something you can build much more on, and if at any point in the future Baserow would decide to limit the API calls, you can always host Baserow on your own server, and then you have unlimited API calls, unlimited anything, because it's running on your own resources. That's pretty cool about it. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed this type of content. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you feel like I should be covering or missing, or I'm going too fast, or I'm not, whatever you want to say, or you just want to say thank you, you can do that too. You can also subscribe to my channel, that also helps a lot. I've got a newsletter that you can sign up for. And the awesome thing about all of this is just the beginning of what is possible of using virtual tours with Webstudio. There's many more possibilities with this, which I'm extremely excited about, but I wanted to start this tutorial series on SEO, programmatic SEO. And yeah, I hope you've got it. So see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.